I would like to call forward Mr. Harry Riccobene. Mr. Riccobene, please continue to stand. Raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you will give before this subcommittee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Please be seated. Would counsel identify himself?
Certainly. Good afternoon. Mario D'Alfonso for the firm of Avina, Hendren, Freeman, and D'Alfonso. I represent Mr. Riccobene.
Mr. Riccobene, are you currently employed? If so, by whom? What was your personal income last year? What were the sources of that income?
On advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer that question based on my rights under the Constitution of the United States and all of the amendments which pertain to me.
Where do you reside?
2723 Plover Street, Philadelphia.
Is it not true that you are a made member of the Bruno Scarfo organized crime family?
On advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer that question based on my constitutional, based on the rights under the Constitution of the United States and all of the amendments which pertain to me.
Did you know Angelo Bruno?
On advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer that question based on my rights under the Constitution of the United States and all of the amendments which pertain to me.
Mr. Scarfo appeared before our subcommittee last year. Do you know Mr. Scarfo?
On advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer that question based on my rights under the Constitution of the United States and all of the amendments which pertain to me.
Senator Nunn?
Mr. Riccobene, have you been convicted of a crime?
On advice of my counsel, I respectfully decline to answer that question based on my rights under the Constitution of the United States and all of the amendments which pertain to me.
Mr. Riccobene, are you taking a position that testifying as to previous convictions would violate your right under the Fifth Amendment?
Under advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer that question based on my rights under the Constitution of the United States and all of the amendments which pertain to me.
I would ask counsel if he would explain his client's position on refusing to answer a question that relates to a previous conviction, and if counsel could explain to the subcommittee how relating information on previous convictions could possibly incriminate his client.
Certainly. Mr. Riccobene has several legal situations outstanding in Philadelphia Court of Common Pleas, as well as Third Circuit Federal Court. If the Third Circuit is or reverses his past conviction, recent conviction, and he is granted a new trial, any publicity which might come from this subcommittee, which may go to the public, may jeopardize his rights to a fair trial. And further, there is an ongoing trial now, which I believe might be jeopardized if adverse publicity of past record in this subcommittee were to get to the ears of the hearers of that trial.
Is that a matter of incrimination under the Fifth Amendment, the fear of adverse publicity?
I believe that it's a protected right that he has to a fair trial.
And what amendment are you laying that claim on the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution or some other provision of the Constitution?
I believe that he has invoked all the amendments, and I believe that he has the right to a fair trial under the Constitution, and I believe that because he has that right, he may exercise his right not to testify in any regard that might jeopardize that right under the Constitution.
The record's already in the record to the concern, so I heard it's not, we don't even know.
Would you please repeat the last question that was asked to my client?
I didn't understand.
Would you please repeat the last question
Yes,
that
I
you
asked
wanted to
Mr.
ask?
Riccobene if he had been convicted of a crime.
Of a crime or other crime?
We'll make it singular to begin with, and then we'll go to plural.
Yes, sir, I have.
All right, could you give us the crimes that you have been convicted of? And the approximate dates to the best of your ability.
One moment, please. On advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer that question based on my rights under the Constitution of the United States and the Fifth Amendment.
Seems counsel has changed his advice in the last few minutes, which is the right of counsel, but with counsel, it was my understanding that counsel was going to permit his client to answer that question.
I believe we had addressed the issue as to whether or not he had been convicted of crimes. As to what they are, the nature of some of his convictions may be such that they may, in fact, jeopardize his Fifth Amendment rights.
His Fifth Amendment rights?
Yes, sir.
The nature of his convictions may jeopardize his Fifth Amendment rights of incrimination?
As in relation to any new charge which might develop from this subcommittee.
Of the United States and of all the amendments which pertain to me.
And your testimony, I believe, Mr. Riccobene, just to retrace it, your testimony is you've never been fined in punishment for any criminal violation.
No, sir.
And you've
Not
never-
that I can remember.
And you've never paid a fine.
Not that I remember. Maybe a traffic ticket, is that a fine?
No, I mean for any felony conviction.
No, sir.
Just a couple more questions, Mr. Chairman. On August 8, 1982, Mr. Riccobene, you were quoted by the Washington Post as discussing the internal Bruno family violence with a police investigator. The paper quotes you as, and I quote, as complaining about those new kids, or these new kids in the family, end quote. You said that you were, quote, just can't talk to them anymore, end quote. What did you mean when making that statement to the press?
On advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer that question based on my rights under the Constitution of the United States and all of the amendments which pertain to me.
Just one other question, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Riccobene, have you ever used members of the Pagan Motorcycle Club or any other outlaw motorcycle club as personal bodyguards for you?
On advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer that question based on my rights under the Constitution of the United States and all of the amendments which pertain to me.
Mr. Riccobene, I'll ask you one more time whether you will tell us the crimes for which you have been convicted.
I believe I stand on the Fifth Amendment.
On the Fifth Amendment. Mr. Chairman, I would like to just request that the Chair direct the witness to answer those questions, which I do not believe can in any way, by any stretch of the imagination, incriminate him under the Fifth Amendment as to previous convictions, matters of public record, crimes for which he has already or is in the process of being punished.
Well, I agree with the senator from Georgia that the Fifth Amendment is not available here under these circumstances, and accordingly, I request and direct that you answer the question propounded by Senator Nunn.
Before you answer it, preface your statement by stating that one of the things that you need to put to the record so you do not have a full recollection of all the testifies to the
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this time, I call for Mr. John Stanfa. Yeah.
All right, sir.
I don't think that's a vote, is it? That's not a vote. I don't think so. Hope not. Mr. Stanfa, would you please rise and raise your right hand? Do you swear the testimony you will give before this subcommittee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please be seated. I would ask at this time the attorney to identify himself.
Good afternoon. My name is Alexander Zadrok, Z-D-R-O-K, and I'm an attorney from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and my office is at 1900 Market in Philadelphia Stock Exchange Building, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Mr. Stanfa, we understand that you are now incarcerated, but prior to December 11th, 1980, the date of your arrest by the FBI, where were you employed?
Excuse me, on behalf of Mr. Stanfa, I would respectfully request that Mr. Stanfa be provided with an interpreter because of his limited knowledge and understanding of the English language.